So thank you for this opportunity to be part of this segment. I'm already learning so many things. I also need to say thank you to our advisory board who has made us advance with the project to this stage, and finally to the Yode group who has made it possible for us to actually present a prototype of the app that I will tell you about today. I will be demonstrating the app immediately after this segment at the TDAC stand, so please come along and you can try it for yourself. As mentioned before, I've been a consultant working with issues and the top-down policies related to sustainability and inclusive development for about a decade, and I grew a bit worried, wanted to make some bottom-up tools instead that would give voice to citizens in helping them to create and visualize how they'd like to see their cities develop, as we as policymakers and city planners are very busy in pushing towards the transformation towards smart, sustainable, and low-carbon cities. Where is the... Is it... Just... Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh, and down, okay. Thank you, thanks. I believe there is, from my work, I believe there's an increasing awareness among city dwellers that things need to change. Our cities are becoming more crowded, they're becoming more polluted, they're becoming less green. According to the WHO, 9 in 10 people around the world live in places where air quality exceeds the guideline limits, and I believe from my research that is something people are keenly aware of. There's also an increasing understanding, maybe not understanding, but awareness that our cities need green infrastructure to make them more livable. And it's interesting to see whenever there are participatory planning efforts that people, they vote largely on green improvements to their cities. I think the London National Park City is a testament to the excitement that are taking place in London. So we hope to create a tech-based tool to facilitate the work of organizations such as the London National Park City, to NGOs, to community groups, to enable them to green cities in their own image. And to do that, sorry, I'm forgetting to use the slideshow. To do that, we want to tap into AR technology, which currently represents a really interesting opportunity for public engagement. Apps such as the IKEA Place has taken the world by storm because of the innovative real-time experience where people can place an object in front of them and you actually feel it's there. We want to tap into that technology, allowing people to green their immediate surroundings in real time. Encouraged by game-like features and the option to simply drag and drop plants from an extensive 3D model database of geospecific flora. People can green the streets, their rooftops, their bike lanes, whatever they want to, and share these visions so that other people can experience them. And the possibility of sharing and voting will not only inspire people to what could take place in their own neighborhood, but will also allow city planners a unique insight to how local communities, really on the micro level, would like to see how they want their towns to develop. So next is a little video that demonstrates our very simplified prototype. So here you'll just see we've popped some trees in a harbor, and you can change season. This is a demonstration of the really simple impact of just tapping them. There it is, yeah. And there was a reason why I used health as the entry point of this presentation, and that's because, as was also just mentioned, it's something people understand, it's something people relate to. Understanding what might harm you, of what's in the air, and what might benefit your health is something that people are much more likely to understand than when we talk about pollutants, when we talk about dying pollinators. It's much more easy to understand that if you take a walk outside right now, it's gonna harm your lungs, or it's gonna improve your lungs if you contribute to increased urban greening. And to that end, our app, we are working on collecting data so that whenever people have created a green scenario, they will see the calculated social, environmental, and economic impact of their scenario, which has a whole line of benefits in terms of taking your proposals further, and also so in between departments of local authorities, there's an understanding of what the impact of greenery might be. From our many conversations with NGOs, with architects, with local planners, these are the ways that they imagine this app can be used. It can be everything from biophilic design, which is an increasing interest with the architectural world. It can be to resurrect our high streets, get the foot traffic back by asking people how they'd like to, what would make them more likely to actually take to the streets again. It could be unused side streets, traffic in some places of London, for example. Some side streets are not used. Why should they just be empty or be a dumping ground for waste when they could be turned into micro parks, for example? It could be repurposing infrastructure, flood-prone areas where the app, for example, would show specific trees and plants that would absorb water. And it could be public paths. How do we get more people to drive, to bike to work? How do we get them to walk, run more? What if we can ask people what do you want to see in order? How will you feel safe in order to do these things? And then the question: who are we designing for? Our app will collect the data when people sign up via social media, and we will share that in an accumulated version with planners, with local authorities, so they know who they're designing for. There's a big difference between cultures, between sex, between income, between ages, any kind of social group, and if you have kids or not. It all matters for what kind of relationship you have to nature. And that is something that will allow us to know on the micro level, what people, for example, want to see from a green street or from a green park. So at the very first stage, we are working on releasing a citizen level, a citizen mode, which is really simple. So as you will see in a second, the app will include a lot of data, of which only users will maybe be exposed to 5% of it, because it would overwhelm and it would not serve the purpose of engaging people, which is what we are aspiring to do. Over time, we will release an educational level, an educational mode, which is targeting children to get them outside in nature and help them understand the benefits of nature. And finally, we're working on a planner mode. Now, a planner mode does not mean that this will become a planning tool. By no means, this is an engagement tool. It's a co-design tool, but a planner mode will just means that maybe 95% of the data and information that we collect will be shared. So there is more knowledge into decisions and into the design process. So I'm going to quickly speak to you about the data, and I'm going to speak to you about engagement, the network and the facilitation. I'd love to speak to you in person about, but we are ambitious when it comes to our data, from everything from location-specific flora, as I just mentioned before, to the ecosystem services, but certainly also to the human benefits of flora. We're speaking to researchers from the States who are calculating who are assessing the mental and physical impacts of nature. And I think this is something that would encourage people largely. We also tap into eye tree inventories. And something that is harder to come about is underground utilities, particularly for London. Other cities we're talking to, like New York City, is much easier. Copenhagen is much easier. The data is available. But we are also hoping that this project will serve as a way to create conversation about the quality of data of our urban infrastructure and the availability of it. And finally, there is no city, no green city without street fixtures. So benches, playgrounds, etc., will also be available through the app, so that you can actually talk about placemaking. As I mentioned, the quality and availability of data is something that will influence expectation management when people use the app, and that's why we're creating a confidence index, so that people can see where improvements could be made and how likely it is that a certain tree could actually have the impacts that we suggest it may have. In terms of engagement, the reason why we've chosen to keep it completely tech is because we want to make it inclusive by default. The app is going to be free for both users, for city planners. It's going to be free for everyone. The Wild Street's chief science officer, who couldn't be here today, she's a US forester and stewardship expert. She's been engaged with the Million Trees NYC project, which, as the name suggests, she participated in the planting of 1 million trees in New York City. And she made quite a survey of who actually participated in this process. We've also spoken to various EU organizations, the same thing, and they unfortunately drew the same picture of the people who come out and engage in these stewardship programs. And they are overwhelmingly similar, mostly Caucasian, female, of a certain class and well-educated. And we hope that this app will break that pattern by making it freely available for everyone. You don't have to participate in stewardship programs. You can green your city on your own terms, on your own time, and especially for women and for ethnic groups, it can be a huge advantage. We will focus on local direct engagement. We will work closely with NGOs and community groups, and as something maybe more experimental, we will focus on guerrilla marketing, which means that we are going to make a lot of AR-based campaigns. And the reason why we believe so much in the AR technology is because it's, as Cisco quotes, it's been wildly successful in particular capturing millennials' attention, which means that we can get the youth and we can get kids out, engaging them and understanding what it is a green city can do for their future, and also actually ask them what kind of city do you want to grow up with. And just to demonstrate, here are a few examples that has created millions and millions of tweets, of Instagram posts. And this is, for example, the New York Times. This is just to demonstrate to you how closely the AR actually allows you to come up close and examine now this yeah? Oh, augmented reality. Sorry. Augmented reality allows people to place something in front of them and come up real close. This means, for example, for a tree, that you can come up close and examine the bark. You can examine the leaves. And it just brings a whole new level of intimacy with nature that maybe for a lot of people is not possible in tree-deprived areas. Here is an example of guerrilla marketing taking place in London, actually. So this is an example of augmented reality. There it is. It's a camera, and it's the exact same way. When you use an app, things become green in front of you, but the real world is still actually present. So yeah. And the same way here, it's used for a lot of retailers. That you can be creative. You can use a lot of drawn, of illustrated characteristics, which may draw a younger audience attention. So there's a lot of possibility. And from all the data we talk about, from all our ambitions, not just staying within the UK, but responding to the many requests we've had from professors, universities, and civilians from outside the UK, we do know that it's an ambitious project, but it has to be. with our cities in the current state and with the challenges only rising. We are working hard on launching Wild Streets in London already this year, and we hope to benefit from the knowledge and input from all the experts present today. And if you would be interested in reading more, you can come visit me and the TDAC stand, or you can go visit our website at wildstreets.org. I hope it caught your interest. Thank you.